When people hear the word nice, they often associate it with being good, kind, or well-intentioned. And in many situations, genuine kindness can be a powerful force. But there's a difference between being kind and being compulsively nice. One is a choice rooted in internal security. The other is a reflex born out of fear. Most people don't realize that what they call being nice is actually a survival strategy, a coping mechanism embedded in their nervous system. Let's break this down from a biological and psychological standpoint. From early childhood, our brains are wired to seek safety. This safety is first established through attachment, primarily with caregivers. If a child grows up in an environment where love, attention, or emotional stability is inconsistent or conditional, their nervous system adapts. They learn, often unconsciously, that the way to earn connection is through compliance, through being agreeable, through making themselves small, pleasing others, and avoiding conflict at all costs. This is called fawning, a stress response that is just as real and biologically ingrained as fight, flight, or freeze. It's the please don't get upset with me response. It's your brain's way of navigating perceived threat through appeasement. And here's the critical part. Most people don't even realize they're doing it. They just think they're being nice. But here's what's happening underneath. Every time you suppress your real thoughts to avoid confrontation, your brain releases stress hormones. Cortisol levels rise, your sympathetic nervous system activates, your body braces for impact silently, and you walk away thinking you did the right thing by keeping the peace, but internally your system is absorbing micro-trauma. Over time, this chronic suppression of truth can lead to emotional exhaustion, identity confusion, and even physical illness. This is not strength, it is the opposite. It is fragility masked as virtue. Now consider what happens neurologically when you're consistently nice at the expense of your own truth. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and self-expression, gets overridden by your limbic system, especially the amygdala, which governs fear and threat detection. You enter a state of self-abandonment. You disconnect from your internal compass in favor of external validation. You lose the ability to discern what you actually want, need, or believe because your nervous system has been trained to prioritize others' comfort over your own integrity. This is not about morality, it's about biology, and the problem compounds. The more you repeat this behavioral loop, the more your brain solidifies it through neural pathways. It becomes automatic. People around you start to expect it. You become the one who always says yes, the one who doesn't complain, the one who absorbs the discomfort so others don't have to. And then you wonder why you're overlooked, taken for granted, or emotionally exhausted. This is not who you are. It's who your brain thinks you need to be in order to stay safe. If you've built your identity around being agreeable, it's likely because your nervous system adapted to avoid emotional threat. Maybe you grew up in a home where conflict meant chaos. Maybe saying no led to withdrawal of love. Maybe you were rewarded only when you put others first. Whatever the case, your niceness is not just a personality trait. It's a learned survival mechanism. And survival is not the same as strength. Real strength looks like presence under pressure. It looks like honesty with boundaries. It looks like making room for discomfort when it aligns with truth. Being able to regulate your nervous system when you say something others may not like. That's strength. Telling the truth even when it threatens your approval, that's strength. Allowing others to feel disappointed or uncomfortable without collapsing into guilt or shame, that's psychological resilience. But you don't build that kind of strength by defaulting to nice. You build it by recognizing the hidden tracks you made with yourself. That love has to be earned. That saying no is dangerous. That silence keeps you safe. And you question them. You interrupt the pattern, not all at once, but moment by moment. Because the next time you find yourself about to say yes out of fear, not conviction, your biology is not helping you thrive. It's helping you survive. And there's a cost to that. Every interaction you have with the world doesn't just shape your thoughts, it shapes your biology, especially when you're constantly suppressing your truth to maintain peace, avoid conflict, or stay liked. When you choose to be agreeable at the expense of authenticity, your nervous system silently carries that weight. And over time, the cost isn't just emotional, it's physiological. Let's look at the neurobiology. Your nervous system is designed to keep you alive, not necessarily happy. It works by detecting cues in your environment, cues of safety or cues of threat. This process is largely unconscious. Your brainstem and limbic system are scanning your environment constantly through a process called neuroception, which means detecting danger without conscious thought. And every time you say yes when you mean no, every time you silence your disagreement to avoid tension, your nervous system interprets it as a low-level threat. It might not feel like a panic attack, but internally your body is reacting as though something is wrong. This activates your sympathetic nervous system, the branch responsible for fight or flight. Your heart rate increases. Your breathing becomes more shallow. Your muscles subtly tense. Cortisol and adrenaline are released to prepare your body to deal with what it perceives as a conflict or danger, except instead of confronting it, you're absorbing it. And because you're not releasing this energy through action, it gets stored. That's where the real damage begins. Over time, if you continuously suppress your needs, thoughts, and boundaries, your body adapts to that stress by normalizing it. You develop what's called allostatic load, the wear and tear on the body caused by chronic exposure to stress hormones. This isn't just a feeling of tiredness or anxiety. This is measurable biological strain. Your immune system weakens, your digestion slows, your ability to think clearly, plan, and emotionally regulate begins to decline. You're operating in a state of chronic hypervigilance even when things seem calm on the surface. This is what people don't realize. Niceness, when it's compulsive, is not neutral. It's taxing. There is a physiological price to be paid for the suppression of authenticity. Your nervous system is not built to handle constant contradiction between internal truth and external behavior. That's called cognitive dissonance, and it is a biological stressor. You may tell yourself you're keeping the peace, but your body is absorbing the conflict. And then come the symptoms: fatigue you can't explain, headaches, poor sleep, low immunity, irritability, anxiety, even depression. These aren't just psychological issues, they are biological feedback mechanisms. They are your nervous system's way of saying something is off, you're out of alignment. The vagus nerve, which plays a central role in your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, also gets impacted. When you're stuck in constant people-pleasing mode, your vagal tone, which governs your ability to calm down after stress, becomes weak. That means even small stressors begin to feel overwhelming. Your capacity to recover diminishes. Your system becomes more reactive, more fragile. And yet on the outside, you're still smiling, still being nice. It's a form of internal betrayal, and your nervous system knows it. It's tracking every time you choose peace for others at the cost of chaos within yourself. It remembers. And the body doesn't forget. The repeated suppression of your own needs also affects your prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for executive function, decision-making, planning, self-control. When you're constantly in stress mode, blood flow is directed away from this area and toward more primitive structures like the amygdala. That means the more you sacrifice your truth to maintain harmony, the less capable you become of thinking clearly, setting boundaries, or navigating life from a grounded, strategic mindset. You begin to lose touch with your own preferences, your desires, even your values, not because they're gone, but because your nervous system has been hijacked by chronic appeasement. You aren't choosing peace, you're choosing compliance under threat. And that compliance, that learned helplessness, reshapes your neural circuitry. You might even notice a form of internal numbness, a disconnection from your own body. That's called dorsal vagal shutdown, where your system becomes so overwhelmed that it shifts into freeze or collapse. You're no longer fighting or fleeing, you're checked out. You feel exhausted, disinterested, apathetic. This isn't laziness, it's nervous system fatigue. It's what happens when you live in a state of high-functioning self-abandonment. And it's not sustainable. Living authentically isn't just an emotional or psychological goal, it's deeply biological. When you align your behavior with your internal truth, your body, brain, and nervous system respond in ways that promote long-term well-being. On the flip side, when you suppress or distort your authentic self to please others or avoid conflict, your nervous system registers that disconnect as stress. So why does authenticity feel so much more rewarding? Let's explore the neuroscience behind it. At the most fundamental level, living authentically means living in congruence with your values, desires, and beliefs. When you act in alignment with who you truly are, your brain experiences this as a positive and rewarding state. It's important to understand that authenticity isn't just a buzzword for self-expression or philosophical musings. It's a biological imperative for your brain's reward system. The dopaminergic system plays a central role in this. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that's primarily associated with pleasure, motivation, and reward. When you do something that resonates with your true self, when you speak your truth, set a boundary, or make a decision that feels aligned with your values, your brain releases dopamine. This is a reward signal that reinforces your behavior. Over time, you learn to trust and repeat actions that align with your authentic self because they feel good at a deep biological level. When you suppress your authenticity, however, your brain registers this as stress. This is because dishonesty or self-suppression triggers the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for detecting threats and managing emotional responses. Suppressing your truth or faking alignment with others' expectations creates cognitive dissonance, a psychological and emotional state where your actions and beliefs are out of sync. The brain interprets this as a low-grade threat, activating the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response. Stress hormones like cortisol are released, and your body shifts into a state of heightened alertness, preparing for a potential threat. In this state, your energy is diverted from restorative processes toward survival mechanisms. You can feel this as anxiety, tension, or discomfort in your body. However, when you act authentically, even when it requires some courage or stepping out of your comfort zone, your parasympathetic nervous system, which governs relaxation and recovery, becomes more active. Your body returns to a state of balance. You feel more relaxed, centered, and present in your interactions. This is because acting authentically provides the brain with a signal of safety. It tells your nervous system that there's no need for defensive reactions because you are acting in alignment with your true self. Your brain recognizes this as a positive state, and that's when dopamine gets released, giving you a rush of well-being. Furthermore, authenticity is not only rewarding in the moment, it has long-term benefits for emotional resilience. Research into neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections, shows that consistent authenticity strengthens the neural circuits responsible for self-awareness and self-regulation. The more you act in alignment with your true self, the stronger these circuits become, which in turn makes it easier for you to handle future challenges. In contrast, when you constantly distort your authentic self, the neural disconnect as a lack of social safety, and the absence of authentic connection can lead to feelings of loneliness or isolation. This can trigger a cycle of stress as your nervous system is constantly searching for connection that isn't being met. In contrast, when you show up authentically, your relationships deepen and the sense of safety and connection improves, which leads to the release of more dopamine and oxytocin, reinforcing the positive feedback loop. Authenticity also plays a significant role in how you experience stress resilience. When you live authentically, you become less reactive to external criticism or pressure because you are anchored in your own beliefs and values. You are less likely to bend to the will of others or take on their opinions as your own. This internal stability allows you to navigate life's challenges with greater ease and equanimity. This resilience is linked to the brain's prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for higher order functions like decision-making, impulse control, and emotional regulation. When you consistently act authentically, you strengthen this part of the brain, improving your ability to manage stress and remain grounded in difficult situations. The bottom line is this: when you align your behavior with your true self, it creates a cascade of positive biological effects that reinforce your well-being, health, and resilience. Your brain rewards you for being authentic as it activates reward centers and reduces stress, allowing you to build stronger connections with others, enhance emotional regulation, and improve your overall sense of vitality. On the other hand, when you suppress or deny your true self, you're not just emotionally and psychologically impacted, your entire biological system is taxed, and the costs can accumulate over time. Authenticity isn't just good for your soul, it's critical for your nervous system and brain's health. Kindness is one of the most powerful forces in human interactions. It can heal wounds, foster trust, and create lasting bonds between people. At its core, kindness is a form of generosity, the willingness to extend goodwill, help, and care toward others. However, there is a critical distinction that often gets overlooked in the pursuit of kindness. Kindness without boundaries can ultimately lead to self-betrayal. It may seem counterintuitive at first, but allowing yourself to be excessively kind without limits can harm both your well-being and the integrity of your relationships. To understand this dynamic, it's essential to first grasp the concept of boundaries. Boundaries are not just walls to keep people away. They are essential markers that define who we are, what we value, and how we wish to be treated. They are the invisible yet crucial lines that protect our mental, emotional, and physical well-being. Boundaries communicate to others what we are willing to accept and what we are not, and they help us maintain a sense of self-respect and inner peace. When kindness is extended without boundaries, it becomes a form of self-sacrifice where you prioritize the needs, desires, and comfort of others over your own. Initially, this might seem noble, even virtuous. After all, being kind and selfless is widely regarded as a positive trait. However, when kindness lacks boundaries, it can result in overgiving, where you continue to provide support or assistance even when it is detrimental to your own health, needs, or happiness. This constant overgiving leads to emotional burnout, resentment, and a loss of self-identity. From a neuroscientific perspective, this dynamic is driven by the way your brain processes reward and stress. The brain's reward system is activated when you engage in prosocial behaviors, helping others, being generous, or showing empathy. These actions stimulate the release of dopamine, which gives you a sense of satisfaction and pleasure. However, when this kindness is not reciprocated, or when you give too much at the expense of your own needs, the brain's stress response is activated. The body begins to release cortisol, the primary stress hormone. Over time, elevated cortisol levels can lead to physical exhaustion, anxiety, depression, and chronic health problems. Your nervous system becomes dysregulated, leaving you feeling drained, overwhelmed, and disconnected from yourself. This cycle of kindness without boundaries can lead to a form of learned helplessness, where you feel trapped in a pattern of giving without receiving the necessary emotional or practical support in return. The more you give without protecting your boundaries, the more your sense of self-worth becomes dependent on external validation. The problem is that by prioritizing others' needs over your own, you start to lose sight of your personal desires, goals, and values. You become disconnected from your authentic self, And in the process, you betray your own needs in favor of fulfilling others' expectations. Moreover, when you fail to set boundaries, you send an unconscious message to others that your well-being is secondary to theirs. This fosters an imbalanced relationship dynamic where the other person might start to take advantage of your kindness. They may begin to expect your self-sacrifice, or worse, take it for granted. This imbalance can cause frustration, anger, and bitterness to build up inside you over time as you silently endure emotional or practical strain without any reciprocity. You might begin to feel as though you are invisible, unappreciated, or unimportant, even if you're constantly helping others. This builds a sense of resentment toward those you are helping, as well as toward yourself for not standing up for your needs. The issue with kindness without boundaries also extends to emotional regulation. When you overextend yourself in kindness, you may suppress your own emotions in order to maintain peace or avoid confrontation. This suppression reinforces the pattern of self-betrayal, as you ignore your own emotional signals such as anger, frustration, or sadness in order to keep others comfortable. In doing so, you create a disconnect between your true feelings and your outward behavior, further eroding your sense of self. This emotional dissonance can lead to internal conflict that manifests as anxiety, depression, or a pervasive sense of dissatisfaction with your life. Self-betrayal occurs when your actions no longer align with your values, and your true self is consistently disregarded in favor of pleasing others. While kindness is undeniably important, it becomes harmful when it's enacted without respect for your own needs, feelings, and boundaries. It is essential to recognize that healthy kindness is about balancing your compassion for others with your responsibility to care for yourself. True kindness does not require that you lose yourself in the process. Instead, it allows you to nurture relationships without depleting your own energy or compromising your identity. By learning to set clear boundaries, you preserve your energy, maintain your emotional equilibrium, and cultivate relationships that are based on mutual respect. Boundaries are not walls of rejection. They are the framework within which kindness can thrive. They allow you to be kind and generous without feeling empty or resentful afterward. They help you honor your needs while still being a source of support to others, and they foster a sense of self-respect that reinforces your emotional and physical well-being. In our society, there is often an unconscious drive to be liked. From a young age, we are socialized to value approval and acceptance from others. We are taught that being liked is synonymous with being successful, valuable, or even worthy of love. As we grow older, this desire to be liked can take different forms, wanting to fit in, seeking approval in our personal relationships, or striving to gain recognition in our careers. However, an often overlooked truth is that respect is far more valuable than likability. And in fact, the pursuit of respect can often lead to greater success and fulfillment than chasing the fleeting satisfaction of being liked. To begin, let's understand the biological foundations of both likability and respect. Likability is often linked to the reward system in the brain. When we are liked, we receive dopamine, the brain's feel-good neurotransmitter, which reinforces behaviors that bring us social acceptance. This is why we may feel elated or validated when others approve of us or praise us. The amygdala, the brain center for emotion and social processing, also plays a role in our need for social acceptance. It constantly assesses social cues and helps us navigate how to make ourselves more likable by reading people's reactions and modifying our behaviors accordingly. While these immediate rewards feel good, they come with a downside. The pursuit of likability can often result in people-pleasing behaviors where we say yes to things we don't want to do, suppress our true thoughts to avoid conflict, or conform to social norms at the cost of our authenticity. The more we mold ourselves to fit others' expectations, the further we move away from our true identity. Over time, this can cause inner tension, anxiety, and a deep sense of dissatisfaction because we are no longer living according to our own values. In contrast, respect is not earned through superficial approval or by seeking others' validation. Instead, respect is built on a foundation of integrity, authenticity, and consistency. The act of showing respect to others through honesty, accountability, and setting healthy boundaries often earns respect in return. However, respect is not a fleeting feeling tied to external validation. It is a recognition of a person's character, actions, and consistency over time. From a neurological standpoint, respect triggers a deeper, more lasting sense of trust and recognition. When we are respected, our prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for higher cognitive functions like decision-making, planning, and emotional regulation, is engaged in a way that supports self-esteem and psychological stability. Unlike the temporary dopamine hit associated with likability, respect cultivates long-term emotional resilience. It is not dependent on momentary praise, but on the steady, ongoing acknowledgement of your core principles and behaviors. Additionally, respect carries with it a sense of personal empowerment. When you are respected, you do not feel the need to bend or compromise your values to gain acceptance. You stand firm in your beliefs, even when they are unpopular or difficult to uphold. This internal alignment with your values leads to greater self-confidence and mental clarity. You become more grounded in your sense of self, able to navigate challenges with poise and authenticity. Respect also plays a critical role in leadership. Effective leaders often prioritize respect over likability, knowing that while being liked may win short-term favor, it's the ability to inspire trust and admiration through competence, fairness, and integrity that leaves a lasting impact. Leaders who are only focused on being liked will avoid necessary conflicts, refuse to make tough decisions, and compromise their principles for the sake of approval. This results in a loss of credibility and respect over time. On the other hand, leaders who command respect might not always be liked by everyone, but they earn trust and loyalty through their authenticity and consistency. In relationships, the dynamic is no different. While being liked may initially bring temporary harmony, it is respect that sustains long-term, meaningful connections. Respectful relationships are built on mutual understanding, trust, and a willingness to honor each other's boundaries, values, and differences. When you prioritize respect, you create an environment where both parties can be honest, open, and secure in their interactions. In contrast, when the focus is solely on being liked, there is a constant undercurrent of insecurity, as one party may constantly alter their behavior to keep the other person's approval. Another important factor is that likability is often conditional, whereas respect is earned through action. Being liked often depends on how well you conform to external expectations, how well you fit in, or how much you give to others. This can result in a shallow transactional dynamic where the approval you receive is conditional upon meeting others' needs or desires. On the other hand, respect is earned through consistency in your actions, your ability to stand by your principles, and the quality of your interactions with others. It's grounded in who you are, not what others want you to be. Lastly, the pursuit of likability can often lead to the loss of personal agency. When your primary goal is to be liked, you become susceptible to external manipulation because your sense of self-worth depends on others' reactions. This leaves you vulnerable to stress, anxiety, and burnout as you continuously seek external validation. Respect, however, is inherently empowering. It is rooted in the belief that you are worthy regardless of others' opinions. When you command respect, you are asserting your own dignity and worth without needing constant reinforcement from others. You act with integrity, and the respect you earn becomes a reflection of your character, not a fleeting social approval. In the end, while likability may bring temporary comfort or approval, respect is the cornerstone of lasting fulfillment, authentic relationships, and personal empowerment. It is earned through authenticity, consistency, and the courage to stand by your values, even when it's not the easy or popular choice. Respect empowers you to navigate the complexities of life with confidence and purpose, knowing that your worth is not contingent on others' fleeting opinions, but on the strength of your character and actions. Discomfort is an unavoidable part of life. Whether it manifests physically, emotionally, or mentally, we all encounter moments of unease and tension. Society often frames discomfort as something to avoid, something negative that should be mitigated or eradicated. However, what if discomfort is not something to fear or flee from, but rather a powerful gateway to growth, resilience, and personal power? The truth is, discomfort, if approached correctly, can become one of your most potent tools for transformation. At its core, discomfort is a signal, a messenger from your body or mind that something is either being challenged or needs to change. Whether it's the physical strain from exercise, the emotional turbulence from difficult conversations, or the mental stretch from stepping outside your comfort zone, discomfort tells you that you are evolving. It is the precursor to growth. Without it, there is no progress, no real change. Growth and change are inherently uncomfortable processes because they require moving beyond what is known, safe, or familiar. Neuroscientifically, discomfort activates the sympathetic nervous system, triggering the body's fight or flight response. This is an automatic physiological reaction designed to help you handle threats. However, in modern life, the majority of discomforts we face are not life-threatening, but are perceived as such by our nervous system. When we experience discomfort, our brain can become hyper-aware, heightening our senses and pushing us into a state of heightened alertness. This heightened state can actually improve focus, clarity, and action, all vital qualities that empower us to overcome challenges. Discomfort, in essence, forces us to tap into our inner reserves, making us more capable, agile, and resourceful in the face of adversity. For example, when you engage in physical exercise that pushes your limits, your muscles may ache and your breath may become labored. At first, this feels intolerable, a form of discomfort that signals the body to slow down or stop. However, this very discomfort is what leads to muscle growth, increased endurance, and overall physical strength. The discomfort you experience during exercise is necessary for your body to rebuild and adapt, ultimately making you stronger and more capable. This is the same principle that applies in life. The discomfort of challenge and struggle builds the resilience needed for greater accomplishments. But discomfort doesn't only come from physical exertion. Emotional discomfort, like facing rejection, experiencing vulnerability, or confronting uncomfortable truths, is also a powerful tool for growth. Emotional discomfort is a sign that your psyche is confronting something deeply ingrained or long avoided. It's in these moments of emotional discomfort that you begin to question assumptions, explore new perspectives, and ultimately expand your capacity for emotional intelligence and self-awareness. Vulnerability, which is often accompanied by emotional discomfort, is perhaps the most profound form of personal power. It allows you to expose parts of yourself that you may have previously hidden out of fear. When you step into vulnerability, you are no longer hiding from discomfort, but instead embracing it as a powerful catalyst for connection and authenticity. This willingness to be uncomfortable in your emotional experiences enables you to form deeper relationships, enhance communication, and build trust. Moreover, it teaches you how to handle rejection or disappointment without it defining you. The more you embrace emotional discomfort, the more resilient and confident you become in navigating life's inevitable ups and downs. Moreover, discomfort fosters mental toughness. Every time you choose to confront the discomfort of a challenging situation rather than retreat into the safety of inaction, you strengthen your psychological resilience, whether it's tackling a difficult project at work, making a major life decision, or engaging in a challenging conversation. These moments of discomfort build your mental fortitude. The brain's prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making, planning, and regulating emotions, is activated during moments of discomfort. When faced with discomfort, you strengthen this area of your brain, improving your ability to think strategically, make clear decisions under pressure, and stay focused on long-term goals. When we avoid discomfort, we often miss out on opportunities for transformation. Staying within our comfort zone keeps us stagnant. The path of least resistance feels familiar and safe, but it doesn't lead to growth. Avoidance of discomfort can lead to feelings of frustration, dissatisfaction, and missed potential. On the other hand, leaning into discomfort signals to your brain and body that you are ready to rise to the occasion, that you are willing to stretch beyond your limitations and transform yourself in the process. The concept of grit, which is often associated with perseverance and resilience in the face of difficulty, is another aspect of how discomfort becomes a gateway to power. It is the ability to stay committed to a goal despite the challenges, pain, or discomfort that might arise along the way. Grit doesn't mean enduring pain passively. It means actively engaging with it, learning from it, and using it as a stepping stone to higher levels of achievement. This mental and emotional fortitude developed by repeatedly choosing discomfort becomes a central trait in highly successful individuals. It allows them to move forward in the face of uncertainty, to recover from setbacks, and to keep striving toward their purpose. Lastly, discomfort also drives creativity and innovation. Think of some of the greatest breakthroughs in history. Many of them arose from situations of great difficulty and discomfort. Whether it's an entrepreneur navigating the risks of launching a new business, an artist exploring difficult emotions through their work, or a scientist challenging conventional theories, discomfort often serves as the catalyst for new ways of thinking. It forces you to question existing paradigms and create new solutions to problems that would otherwise remain unsolved. The friction of discomfort forces the brain to adapt, innovate, and evolve in response to the challenges at hand. Ultimately, discomfort is not something to avoid or run from. It is an invitation to grow stronger, more resilient, and more powerful. It is a gateway that leads to greater emotional, physical, and mental strength. By embracing discomfort, you not only cultivate the courage to face challenges, but also develop the inner power necessary to navigate life's complexities with confidence and clarity. Discomfort is the crucible in which personal power is forged. The more you choose to engage with discomfort, the more you unlock your true potential and step into the power that resides within you.